As reports of coronavirus have spread across the U.S., so have incidents of anti-Asian violence.
Crimes against Asian Americans who've been attacked, harassed, blamed, and scapegoated.
Verbal and physical attacks, blaming and shaming, hate crimes and racist slurs directed at people of Asian descent have been on the rise in this country since the pandemic began. But
that's a question you should ask China. Don't ask me, ask China that question, okay? When you ask them that question, you may get a very
It's wrong,
answer.
it's un-American, and it must stop.
Recently, there has been a rising presence of the Asian American Pacific Islander, or AAPI community, in the media. This could be due to the increase in reported anti-Asian hate crimes across America, which, according to the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism, has increased by around 145% from 2019 to 2020. This spike can largely be accredited to the pandemic, which has sparked a lot of anti-Asian sentiment nationwide. Perhaps one of the most prominent examples of a recent attack against the AAPI community occurred just about a month ago.
Some tragic news, the deadly shootings in Atlanta, killing at least 8 people. A suspect is in custody this morning, and police across the country are on alert this morning as well, fearing the attacks may have targeted the Asian community. Steve Osensami is in Atlanta.
On March 16th, a series of shootings occurred in 3 different locations across Atlanta, Georgia. These shootings left 8 people dead, 1 white man, 1 white woman, and 6 other Asian women. This act has not been labeled as a hate crime, however, as the motive of the suspect is still being investigated. Regardless of labels or intents, these shootings have disproportionately affected the AAPI community, while also calling attention to the targets put specifically on the backs of the elderly and the women within the community. The surge of anti-Asian hate crimes being plastered across social media platforms and news outlets can be quite distressing for the AAPI community, affecting students in our own school.
On the topic of anti-Asian racism, I subconsciously had a feeling that it was going to happen because of COVID. I just feel like it gave people an excuse that they didn't really have before. Some ways that people can definitely help support the Asian community: supporting businesses, attending rallies, donating.
In addition to this interview, other students here at HMHS wanted to express their thoughts on the issue. Some have stated, "In this time when people are stressed and afraid because of the lack of what used to be normal, it's easy for them to simply find a scapegoat and take out their anger. In this instance, people shift the blame of COVID-19 to Asian Americans. The racism against Asians has always existed in our country, but now it's too clear to ignore. All they needed was one thing to excuse their actions, and the pandemic was the perfect catalyst. We need to work on debunking myths and stereotypes against Asians and educate ourselves on the diversity there is in the community." It is clear to see that this situation hits very close to home for many of your friends or students here at HMHS, making it an even more pressing matter to address. This has been Vincent Tran with Code Blue News. Back to you in the studio.